there a time when you were stuck in some sort of adversity? Maybe it was addiction, possibly financial hardship, maybe it was loss of a relationship or anxiety. Whatever it was, I think of it as being stuck in the muck and mire of life on life's terms. And whether you put yourself in the mud or your circumstances put you there, you have the ability to rise above the murky water and blossom. It reminds me of the lotus plant. A lotus plant cannot grow in clear water. It has to take root in the muddy swamp. And it digs itself into the mud and establishes its roots, and then it grows a stem and it emerges above the murky water so clean and pure against the background of the dirty swamp and blossoms into a pure white flower. Like the lotus plant, we too have the ability to rise from our mood, bloom out of darkness and adversity, and radiate into the world. The thicker and deeper the mud, the more beautiful the lotus blossoms. Hi, I'm Marty, and I have muddy feet. Now, I've never been one for smooth sailing. I battle the thoughts in my mind. I battle the lies my mind tells me about myself, and how those thoughts take shape comes out in my personality changes, my behaviors, and more importantly, in my choices. I can't seem to ease up on kicking the horse for a more thrilling ride, or pressing the pedal for faster speed, or pushing the cop for my share of power. I'm pushing the limits, and it feels like I can't stop, but the fact is, I can stop. Here are some strategies I've learned in my journey that have helped me to get out of the muddy waters. Number one, and crucial to change, it starts with a willingness. Those were the words I heard from a caregiver at Crisis Intervention when I called in the middle of the night and I tiresomely asked, how does a person stop cutting? I had developed a mental health disorder that caused me to engage in self-injury. In fact, I became addicted to it. And I didn't think I could stop. And the lady said, Marty, it's so easy, it starts with a willingness. I said, what does that mean? Expand on that. And she said, well, right now you would be willing to do something other than hurt yourself, such as put your sharp object in the trash, tie the bag off, take the trash out back, lock the door, go upstairs, watch a movie, and pet the dog till you fall asleep. Are you willing to do that? I said, yes. So I did it that night. And the next day I woke up and I thought, whoa, those are some pretty powerful words. They seem to work. I'm going to practice that again. So again, that day I practiced a willingness and made it through another day without self-injury. A week later, I went back to my psychiatrist and I said, Dr. Nutter, you are not going to believe this, but I haven't cut myself in a whole week. And with that, he wheeled his chair closer to me, took my hands, looked into my eyes with the biggest smile and said, I can't imagine how hard that must have been for you. It was hard. He said, soon you'll have 2 weeks. Well, soon I had 3. And then I had a month, and then I had 6 months, and a year. Today I have 12 years, injury-free, self-injury-free, because I've been practicing a willingness. They are 5 simple words, but powerful when put into action. So start with a willingness. Number 2, do your inside work. There I was, with the muddy feet again, so muddy I could no longer see my shoes. I was sitting in cell 3043, at Lancaster County Prison, wearing nothing but a turtle suit. A turtle suit is a quilted jumper. It has Velcro at the shoulders. It's designed so that an inmate can't harm themselves. I had no blanket, no pillow, no book, no Bible, no pencil, no paper, not even toilet paper. All I had in that cell with me was a plastic cup for water. And I had 23 hours a day to sit and think and do some inside work. You know, we spend so much of our time polishing the exterior of our lives. I gotta have the right title, the right car, the right outfit. I wanna look good for you. When we really need to work on our insides and do some inside work. Well, I had those 23 hours a day, and I just stared at the green wall and I started to create. I created murals in my mind on the green wall that I stared at from my cot. and thought about the people I loved and the choices I was making and the despair and ruin and sorrow and loneliness that those choices were bringing to me. And I thought about the things that I wanted to do and what I could do with my life if I were willing to make some changes. And so I thought, you know, I would love to come back to the prison someday and help other people make changes too. But first I got to make them. So if your story now is all about shame and sadness, you get to create a different, more compelling version where you go from hollow to hero and your life becomes transformed. Do your inside work. Number 3, self-talk. Keep it in the positive. When I was allowed pencil and paper, I wrote a letter to the warden. And I said, "Dear warden, my name's Marty. I'm sitting down here in cell 3043, and I want to tell you something. I'm going to work as hard as I possibly can to make changes. And I'm just introducing myself because someday you'll see more of me. I'm going to come back to the prison someday when I'm well, and I'm going to help others and inspire them to make changes too." And I mailed that letter, and I started taking my steps. I mean, they were pee-pee steps. But I walked for 10 years before the new warden invited me to come into the prison 3 days a week and do suicide prevention. I spoke to 125 new inmates every week. And I had 12 minutes to throw out a line of hope. Now, that first day that I went into the prison was a victory moment for me. It was a feeling of triumph. Anybody who was somebody in the prison was there that day. The warden, the deputy wardens, mental health, all the important people were on the block to see how this was going to go down. The guard radioed for the doors to open. 40 men stepped out and sat down at the metal tables, and I began to talk. I threw my line of hope. I was trying to snag a couple of people that wanted to make changes in their lives. And I emphasized self-talk, because what we say to ourselves when we're sitting on the bench determines how we'll hit the ball when we're up to bat again. And when I wrote that letter to the warden, I wanted to hit a home run. This was my home run day. And I wanted for the men to hit a home run too. So inside talk or self-talk, keep it in the positive. Number 4, follow the law of a back to the source. We all have certain personality quirks, character traits, character defects, whatever it is, it can become permanent. And if we follow the law of a back to the source for the defining moment of when that character trait was established, we can better understand it so we can eliminate it from our lives. I was 6 years old. It was a Sunday evening, and our family was going out for Sunday dinner. So my dad, mom, grandmother, sister, and myself got in the Ford Falcon. Remember those? And we headed to the bowling alley to pick up my 2 older brothers. And I ran into the bowling alley with my mom to get the boys. And I got so distracted by the sights and sounds of the lanes, you know, the balls going down the lanes, the pins falling over. This was awesome, I thought, and lost my focus. Well, when I regained focus, I turned to my mom, and she was gone. I ran to the counter where the boys returned the shoes, and the boys were gone. I ran outside to the parking lot, and the car was gone, and so was my family. Now, I don't know what part of dinner they were on when they noticed I was missing. They did come back for me. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here today. I'd still be at the bowling alley crying. Well, needless to say, I have a fear of abandonment. So it enables me to work on that feeling of that fear of abandonment. It doesn't mean I have to keep the fear all my life, but once I understand its source, I can better work on it to eliminate it. So follow the lava back to the source. Now we're ready for number 5, which is get out of your comfort zone. To me, a comfort zone is like a big bubble. Maybe a small bubble, but anyhow, we're in a bubble, and it's all cozy, comfy in here. I love it in here. I'm safe. I don't have to do anything hard. And the unfortunate part is that all of the opportunities for ourselves lie outside that bubble. I want to seize my opportunities because I want more confidence, I want more growth, I want more courage. And you've got to get out of your comfort level. If you're afraid to do that, then do it afraid. That's how the lion got its courage. You think he was comfy on the yellow brick road? Are you kidding me? I sat on my mom's lap and trembled with fear when I saw those crazy monkeys. But the lion stayed on the yellow brick road with the monkeys. He walked with them. And he didn't know it, but he was gaining more courage with each step along the way. Follow the yellow brick road. Get out of your comfort zone and allow yourself to grow. There is no Emerald City. Fact is, it's the journey itself. Emerald City doesn't even exist. So be like the lion. Get out of your comfort zone. Do it afraid if you have to do it at all. But let yourself grow. And number 6, get an all-star lineup. Now, to me, one of the truths about life is that we can't do life alone. We need the support of others in order to get through our lives. And I realized that when I was 23 years old. I was terribly depressed. I was diagnosed with a serious mental health disorder. And I knew that in order for me to complete my life journey, I was going to need a lot of support. So I started working at 23 on building my support team. And I built it, and I'm 65 today. I have a village of support. I am so blessed. One of the things I did for myself was whenever somebody said something to me that sparked some sort of feeling of self-worth in me, I wrote those words down in a journal and dated it. I could go home today and reread words from 40 years ago, 30 years ago, 20 years ago, and I'll be just as blessed by those words today as I was when they said the words. That's one of the ways I maintain myself, is through the encouragement of others. So take a sampling or a sprinkling of the kind words from everybody in the community who has encouraged you in some manner and turn them into a blueprint for achieving recovery. Get an all-star lineup. And number 7, another self-portrait here. By the way, I did these drawings. Forgot to mention that. In any case, remember that your history is not a mistake. On one of the days that I went into the prison, the deputy warden stopped me and said, "Hey, Marty, we've got this woman from another country. We are so worried about her. We are so scared she's going to take her life or attempt to take it. She will not talk to any of the prison staff, mental health, the guards, anybody. She will not talk to any of the other women inmates. Maybe she'll talk to you. Are you willing?" Of course. So he takes me up to block 25, the block I had been housed on. Darn if he doesn't turn to cell 3043. The very cell I sat in 10 years earlier. The guard radios for the door to open, and they asked me to walk in and sit down. 10 years after the fact, a healthier person, I walked back into that cell, and I sat in the cot, and I took the woman's hand, and before I started to talk to her, I took a moment for myself. And I just looked around that small space of cement block, that ugly green wall. I saw her plastic cup on the sink. She had nothing in there with her. She was wearing the turtle suit. And then we started to talk. And I was able to give myself credit for my willingness to journey through a challenging life experience, the experience of being incarcerated. You know, I thought about, what would it be like if I take my life in here, but I would have given up 50 years of my life and the people I loved for a 15-day bad experience. So remember that your history is not a mistake. It's what we do with our history. Those are some strategies that helped me in trying to get out of the mud, trying to hose down my feet so I can see my shoes again. And I'd like to close with a poem that I really love. I read it 30 years ago and memorized it because it's such a good poem. It was written by Dale Wimbrough. It was written in 1934, and it goes like this. When you get what you want in your struggle for self, and the world makes you king for a day, then go to the mirror and look at yourself and see what that guy has to say. For it isn't your mother or brother or wife whose judgment on you must pass, but the fellow whose verdict counts most in your life is the guy looking back from the glass. He's the fellow to please. Never mind all the rest, for he's with you clean to the end. And you've passed your most dangerous and difficult test if the guy in the glass is your friend. You might be like Jack Horner and chisel a plum and think you're a wonderful guy, but the guy in glass says you are a bum if you can't look him straight in the eye. You may fool the whole world down the pathway of years and get pats on the back as you pass, but the final result will be heartaches and tears if you've cheated the guy in the glass. Please don't cheat yourselves. Break the boundaries and barriers that keep you from peace and enjoyment in life. Map out your own blueprint for recovery. And remember, like the lotus plant, we have the ability to rise from our mood, bloom out of darkness and adversity, and radiate into the world. You can do this. Thank you.